Question, how much, where that line is gonna be. I think it's gonna be, more than what they're suggesting for this area. Northern Virginia is gonna get crushed. In Baltimore, my daughter used to live in Baltimore, and they'd get appreciably more snow than we would. She's back down here now, but she has to drive and work in Richmond. So,
Talked about this yesterday. She said they got this
that's the first step. I can tell you, we had it.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
We got the right couple of people. We didn't. It's cold. We got music good folks who wanted to do something in school. But it's always a sensitive. Always sensitive.
You ain't got no touch. Just easy. I need some hand sanitizer. I got some release of
Would you just broke it? So you're saying one of the things he's sitting already has to
Oh, that helps. That's a little part of that situation. It won't work for us. Say some things now.
Good evening. The mission of Franklin City Public Schools is to work in partnership with students, families, and the community to provide enriching opportunities to empower individual learners to maximize their potential in becoming critical thinkers, productive citizens, and lifelong learners. On behalf of Franklin City School Board tonight, I would like to welcome you to our board meeting. Also like to welcome Dr. Grimes, who's also joining us. And at this time, we would like to ask for the representative from Joseph P. King Jr. Middle School to come forward for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. This is Matrez Battle. He's a sixth grader at J.P. King. He also was our Student of the Month for sixth grade, the month of December, and he's going to be leading us in the pledge.
May everyone bow their heads.
No, you're not being pledging. Not that one. There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mrs. Francis, I didn't get his name.
Matrez Battle. MYTRIAZE Battle. BATTLE. Matrez Battle.
Battle. We want to thank you so much, Mr. Battle. Can I see your face? I want to thank you so much for that wonderful pledge tonight, and you started with a heart of humility. Let's give him a hand. At this time, we'd like to have a motion to come out of closed session.
Whereas the Franklin City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Counsel and Ms. Jackson. The motion has been properly moved and seconded. At this time, we'd like to have Mrs. Kendrick. Are we ready for the vote?
Yes.
Are we ready for the vote?
Yes.
Any opposed? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. I'd like to say for all of those in the audience and for those that are watching us in the community, this is my first evening tonight, and I gotta kind of get used to this position. Thank you so much for our chairman, Mrs. Edna King. All right. Mrs. Kendrick, for roll call.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
At this time, we'll have the approval of the agenda, and before we make the approval of the agenda, we do need a motion.
We're gonna do motion.
Okay. Before we have the approval of the agenda, let's back up to 2.6. We'll have the motions from closed session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the personnel agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It has been moved and properly second to, for us to come out of closed session and to approve the agenda. Now let's have a motion to amend the agenda to move the student liaison from Franklin High School from 4.2 to 2.8 after the alumni spotlight.
Second.
Okay, it has been properly moved and second to move the student liaison, to amend the agenda to move the student liaison from 4.2 to 2.8 after the alumni spotlight. All in agreement at this time?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. At this time, we'll need a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Vice Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda as correct.
I second.
It has been properly moved in second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Dr. Bell, good news.
Madam Chair, board members, at this time, we would like to begin our good news section by recognizing the Franklin High School football team for their conference championship and district runner-up for this season that has just passed. At this time, we would like Coach Lees to come forward for the special recognition.
Good evening, Vice Chair, School Board, and Dr. Bell. It is my honor to recognize the 2015 high school football team. If I could have Coach Parker, his staff, and the football team to join me up front, I'd appreciate it. I was asked to recognize these young men and the staff of Franklin High School. A little bit about this season. The Broncos started out 5-0, and they were on a roll. But then we ran into a tough team with Brunswick, dropped it, but then we came back as Coach Parker gets his staff ready and his players ready for Sussex, which is a big rival for us, and came back and defeated them. Then we had a tough loss against Greensville. We lost in the last play of the game, which was a tough loss. Then we continued to finish the last two games, and of course, we beat our neighbors next door like we usually do in the last few years, and very proud of them. We went into the playoffs the first time. For the first game, we had a bye the first week and came back. We lost to William Campbell, but we finished at 8-3. We fell, the Broncos fell a little short on what they really wanted to do, and that Coach Parker always. The first day of practice, he gets those guys ready, and his goal is state title, and that's the goal that, we don't get that. We fell a little short, but I'm very proud on what Coach Parker, the staff, has done with these young men. Not only do they coach football, they teach these young guys the facts of life and how what life is. And to me, that's the most important thing to teach these young men is life. And so I take my hats off to Coach Parker and his staff on what he does with these young men. I also was asked to recognize the players that made all-district conference and so forth. So I'm just going to read them. All-district, which to me is the toughest district in the state of Virginia. I mean, we're up among some big schools, and these young guys, they hold their own, game in and game out. First team, we had Stephon Pearson, Quayshawn Jefferson, Natron Lee, and Jack Sykes. Second team, we had Tyreek Warren, Ryan Powell, Javante Baker, and Darren Duck. For all conference, we had a lot of kids make this all conference team. I'll just go through them real quick. First team, we had Stephon Pearson, Tyreek Warren, Darren Duck, Ryan Powell, Quayshawn Jefferson, Javante Baker, Natron Lee, Jack Sykes, Darren Everett, and Lynn Lawson. Second team, we had Markeem Tyler, Draylen Ford, and Ryan Albin. We also had the Offensive Player of the Year in Quayshawn Jefferson, which is a great honor. And the Coach of the Year, we had Coach Parker, but Coach Parker always says it's Coach Parker and his staff. And I believe that. I mean, he always recommends his staff on how well they do. There's no I in team, and there's no I in coaching. So he really honors by saluting his staff and whatever he does. Going on to the next level, which is the region, which is 28 schools in the region. We had three players make first team. That was Lynn Lawson, Natron Lee, and Darren Duck. Second team, we had Stephon Pearson, Quayshawn Jefferson, and Jack Sykes. Then we had three people, which I just received this and just gave to Coach Parker, that made second team All-State. And that was Lynn Lawson, Natron Lee, and Darren Duck. I want to wish these seniors the best of luck. They know that we're always here for them. Myself, Coach Parker, his staff, we're always here for them. And And I know that Coach Parker's going to have these, and staff, is going to have these young guys in the weight room pretty soon, working on next year for that state title. I want to thank you. I want to wish the team the best of luck next year. And if Coach Parker wants to add anything, please do. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Bell, School Board, Mr. Williams, Dr. Geiger. Good evening to you. First of all, I want to thank you for all of the support that you have given us throughout this year. All of this winning, all of these accolades, it's kind of easy when you have support from top down. When you have support from your superintendent, when you have support from your school board, when you have support from your city council, when you have support from the city, it makes it easy. We can play football. We have support from your principals that are in the schools. It's easy because now we can play football. There are so many other schools that have to deal with so many things that we don't have to deal with. So we are truly blessed. We already know that the reason that we are able to do the things that we are able to do is because of God's grace. We know that's number one. And also a combination of coaches that have been together since 2003 for some of us. We've had some new additions with our coaching staff, but it's an honor to coach with guys that you consider your brothers. And it's definitely an honor to coach young men that you look at as your own sons. It is an honor to coach these young men. We have great young men here in Franklin, and we definitely want to let you know that we really appreciate you recognizing us, because you didn't have to. You didn't have to do this, and we appreciate everything that you have done, that you're going to do. We have a new weight room coming up that, thanks to school board and Dr. Bill, we're going to definitely take advantage of. But one thing that we said in '04 that we definitely wanted to do, we didn't want to be a football team. We wanted to have a football program. There's a difference. Teams win games. Programs win championships. And that's what we want to do. Another thing that we're very proud about, so at the beginning of the season, I know we called Dr. Watson out, and I think Dr. Bill came out to one of our first practices in August. And we said we wanted to make sure at the end of the year we had a cumulative GPA average of a 3.0. A little bad news, we fell a little short. I calculated everything today. We ended up with a 2.97 GPA for the football team. We still fell short. 3.0, so now the goal for next year is to have a 3.5. And hopefully we'll be standing in front of you as state champions and saying that we fell a little short, or we hit it with a 3.497. So we definitely understand the academics are very important. We have a couple of young men that may be moving on to the next level, but the main thing that we teach as coaches is winning. We believe in winning, because if we win now, we win down the road. It's nothing about us teaching anybody how to lose. I don't want to know how to lose. We win in everything that we do. So in that winning, we thank you again. It is an honor for us to be here tonight. Sorry we didn't have everybody here, but different kids had different things to do. But the ones who are here and the ones who are not here, they definitely appreciate it. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lease, and I think we have somebody who's going to say something.
Yes, we have one of our team captains, Mr. Javante Baker.
I saw him moving to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to thank y'all for recognizing my team and my coaches. We've practiced very hard. I've been here for 5 years, and it's been a good ride with all these fellas. It's sad to say that I'm leaving this year. I might be moving on to the next level, but I'm gonna miss all of this. It's just, this my family right here. All of us. We all brothers, and I hope they'll move on and win state championships in the next few years. Next year, when GPAs go up, I'm gonna miss y'all fellas, man. Yo, looking all sad. I just gonna miss y'all. Miss all my coaches, and I want to thank y'all for recognizing my football team.
coaches? Any other team members, seniors, any other seniors? I believe, Mr. Baker, you're a senior, right? Yes. Well, on behalf of the school board, any of our school board members want to say anything? Okay. On behalf of the school board tonight, we would like to say congratulations to you all for a job well done. Mr. Lease, we want you to know, as well as Coach Parker and all of the coaching staff, we do value your input and what you're doing with our students on the field. As you were talking tonight, and I heard Mr. Baker give his little mini speech, I thought about the law of the mirror. One of John Maxwell's laws is to see value in yourselves, and we can truly see that this team this year has been motivated to see value in themselves. And as you see value in yourselves, young men, what happens is you begin to add value to yourself, and you're able to add values to others. So congratulations. Let's give them another hand.
Can I add one more thing? We'd like to also thank the fans and some parents that brought their players, their sons out tonight. And one person, two people I forgot to acknowledge. Our AD, both of our ADs, they do a fabulous job in preparing everything for us, game situations and things of that nature. So to Coach Lees and Ms. Mona Sumlin, I also want to say thank you.
Yes, congratulations. And also want to admonish the principal, Dr. Watson. I don't know if he's in the building tonight. He is? Okay. Also, Dr. Watson, kudos to you. Shout out. Let's give him a hand as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, gentlemen. All right.
Thank you again.
It's occasions like this that really make us proud of our students. Not only are they doing it on the field, but in the classroom, they're hitting the books as well. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we also have another highlight or spotlight for good news. We would like, and he doesn't know we're going to say this, this is for our own division superintendent, Dr. Willie J. Bell. Some of us in the Franklin community did attend the Unity in Our Community Walk program, and we witnessed Dr. Bell receive the Drum Major for Justice Award on Monday, January the 18th, 2016, which was held at Paul D. Camp Community College. So at this time, please join me in celebrating our own division superintendent, Dr. Willie J. Bell. Dr. Bell for the Alumni Spotlight.
Madam Chair, board members, tonight for the Franklin City Public Schools Alumni Spotlight, we will recognize one of our own, Ms. Shaquita Laverne Seaborn. Mrs. Seaborn graduated from Franklin High School in 1995. After high school, Ms. Wade, can you click that? So a picture will come up. All right, there she is. I begin again. Ms. Shaquita Laverne Seaborn graduated from Franklin High School in 1995. After high school, Ms. Seaborn attended Virginia Union University in Richmond, Virginia. She, however, obtained a BS degree in Human Services with a minor in special education from Old Dominion University. Before working at Franklin High School as a special education inclusion teacher and transition coach, she was a fashion fair consultant at Belk Department Store and a counselor for Virginia Department of Corrections. Mrs. Seaborn went on to further her education by earning a master's degree in special education, secondary transition from George Washington University, as well as a second master's degree in educational leadership from Hampton University. Currently, Ms. Seaborn is the transition coach for Franklin City Public Schools and the program coordinator for Franklin City Public Schools Open Campus School. She is also a member of Franklin Tri-County Alumni Chapter
of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and a Franklin Southampton United Way board member. Ms. Seaborn is the mother of two lovely children, Malik and Makia Phillips. Malik is a first-year student at the University of Virginia, and Makia is a junior at Southampton High School. Madam Chair and board members and community, as well as staff, we recognize Shaquita Laverne Seaborn as our alumnus of the month.
Congratulations to Ms. Seaborn. At this time, we'll have our student liaison from Franklin High School, Ms. Rosemary Adisi.
This month, there was a Dairy Queen night on Thursday the 7th and a Crazy Hat Day last Friday the 15th. Benchmarks began yesterday the 20th. There will be a family reading night on Tuesday the 2nd of February and another Dairy Queen night on Thursday the 4th of February for SP Morton. For JP King, there was a parents and partners meeting last Thursday the 14th. Over 180 parents were present. The 7th graders are going to Suffolk Cultural Arts to see a Black History program on Marian Anderson. The intramural program is up and going, and they have added 4th and 5th graders to the program. JP King is currently taking benchmarks. For Franklin High School, SOL testing began this month on Tuesday, the 12th, and is still going on. A lot of students have been excited about passing. Franklin High hosted its second blood drive on the 8th. The Bronco basketball team has had many wins so far, including wins against Windsor and Southampton. National Honor Society students travel to SP Morton this month to read to students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Adisi. Board members had the opportunity in November to attend the Virginia School Board Association, and at this time, would like any of our board members that would like to share tonight, we'd ask you to share briefly about your experience from the VSBA training and convention. I believe Mr. Holt.
Yeah, I do have one comment. I attended a program called Cultivating the Workforce of Tomorrow through STEM-H, and of course STEM is a key topic now, but they added the H for health. And this program segments kids in high school at Hanover who want to be in the health profession. So they move them actually to a different school area. So they're in their own program. They learn the so-called soft skills, how to interview, how to dress for success, how to handshake, eye contact, and those kinds of things. Dr. Geiger shaking his hand. You're familiar with that, I guess.
My grandsons are learning that firsthand, at least I hope.
And I believe the superintendent there is Dr. Michael Gill, and he's in his first year, and he's just done a phenomenal job with this program. And they have tons of kids who want to be in it, and it's very successful, and the parents are excited. So that in itself, to me, was worth the trip to Williamsburg.
Okay, Mr. Holt, thanks so much for sharing. Any other board members would like to?
Madam Vice Chair, I'd like to share, and if I, with your permission, I got a handout I'd like to give
Yes,
everybody.
please.
I went to Rockingham County Public Schools, gave a presentation on the way that their school board and board of supervisors had made their relationship better, especially during budget times. And Mr. Breeding, school board member from Rockingham Public Schools, gave this presentation. And if you look through the handout, it just gives you a little something about Rockingham Public Schools. And then it tells you some things that they did on what it takes to have a relationship with your board of supervisors, or in our case, our city council. And it just didn't happen all of a sudden. It took time and it took a lot of work. From both sides to come together to gain the trust from each other that it takes to build this type of relationship. And it seems like that we made a giant first step this past month when we met with City Council to start building the trust between the two boards. And what they do is they have a committee of 2 board members, and their board of supervisors have 2 board supervisors that meet regularly on different topics. And just take the budget session that's coming on, and we have a budget meeting coming up pretty quick, 1st of February. And they would go back to their board of supervisor counterpart and talk about what we talked about in our first meeting. And that gives the board, or in our case, the city council, some kind of, they don't learn it all at one time. They learn what we want as we progress through our budget presentation. And they also, each one of the school board members meets monthly with their counterpart on the board of supervisors. Just talk about anything. And it's all about trust and transparency. And I think, that's something that we have to work on. And the city council has to work on. But, you got to start somewhere. And I just thought it was a great presentation, and it comes at a good time of the year with us getting ready to discuss budget terms. And from what I understand, I missed the meeting with city council, but I understand that
It was a very good.
we may have started something here,
Yeah.
and we need to continue with that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very good presentation.
I attended that same session, and I thought the same thing. And if we put into place just a few of the things that they did, I believe our relationship with our city council would get better.
There's no need that we can't trust one another.
That's right.
It's a small city,
That's
small
all
school
they are, our
division.
appropriating
There's no reason
body.
that we can't
Yeah.
trust one another and be transparent about what we're doing.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Council and Mr. Holt. And I'd also like to just share briefly, on 2 sessions that I attended. One of the most meaningful sessions for me, because I have a special love for the exceptionally gifted student, I'm going to say, versus saying special education or the child with special needs. But I attended the session with the attorney, Kathy Mayford, and she talked about special education law and the laws and policy that govern special education, the differences between a 504 plan and accommodations and IEP compliance. And she also talked about ways that we can increase, school divisions can increase the parent-school relationships and collaboration. And the other session I attended was a session on interactive achievement. And we've had the presentation here in our own district. So I thought about the Catapult partners and our teachers who've already talked to us about interactive achievement. They talked about the differences between formative and summative assessments and how teachers are able to use the program in the classrooms to track data and to also help the students understand their data. So it was very, very informative. Any other board members? If not, thank you so much. At this time, Mrs. Kendrick, our clerk, do we have anyone who signed up tonight for citizens' time?
Let's get the
Before we
student.
leave, good news, can we do the teacher attendance?
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, let's back up. We have some more good news. That's best student attendance and best teacher attendance. Ms. Wade.
Okay, good evening, board members, Dr. Bell, and Franklin community. It is my pleasure to announce the Best Teacher and Staff Attendance Award for the month of December, and also the Best Student Attendance Award for the month of December. So I'd like to ask all three principals to come forward and join me. I'll begin with best teacher attendance. This is for the month of December 2015, and the winner is Franklin High School.
What was the percentage? That's good.
Best student attendance for the month of December
That's good.
2015 with 99.2%.
Wow.
For the month of December. It's J.P. King Middle School.
We're having a discussion up here. Congratulations to Franklin High School and also to Joseph P. King Middle School. Let's congratulate them one more time. Mrs. Kendrick, want to make sure that we give the community and public opportunity to speak tonight. Once again, did we have anyone who signed up for citizens' time? No, ma'am, we did not. Okay, thank you so much. At this time, we need a motion to approve the minutes for December 17th, 2015, for our regular school board meeting, and December 17th, 2015, for our call school board meeting.
Madam Vice Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes for both meetings on December 17th.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the December 17th meeting for the regular school board session and also for the closed school board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Call school board meeting. Not closed, call.
All right, let's go back. Okay?
It's called.
Because we want to make sure that we have that motion proper.
In the record.
Okay?
Dr. Leonard, if I understood the motion, it was for both meetings.
He did.
Okay.
Okay, so we're fine. Thank
You're
you.
good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Williams.
Common mistake.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I won't get through this night. All right, let's move forward. Okay. At this time, we also would like to have a motion to approve bills for payment.
Madam Vice Chair, I make a motion that we approve bills for payment.
I second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that we approve bills for payment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Dr. Bell, report of superintendent.
Madam Chair, board members, at this time, I would like to call Mr. Peak forward to give information and the results of our audit report. Mr. Peak. And board members, you have before you the audit report that has been distributed by Mr. Peak and his company, Britton Peak Certified Public Accountants.
Good evening, Madam Vice Chairman,
Good evening.
Dr. Bell, members of the board, and guests.
Good evening.
First, I'd like to thank you for having me here tonight. As you know, the work that we do involves the audit of the activity funds of the 3 Franklin City Public Schools, as well as an audit of the textbook fund and a compiled financial statement for the cafeteria fund. And in front of you, in the blue folder, tonight, I'll just go over a few highlights, and of course, I'll be willing to answer any questions that you may have. First of all of the audits that we performed got clean or unmodified opinions, so there weren't any problems that we weren't able to resolve. And as you'll see, the book is put together. If you'll turn one page in, you'll see that it's in sections A through E. The textbook fund being section A, cafeteria fund section B, Franklin High School C, Joseph King, D, and S.P. Morton, E. I'm going to, tonight, I'm going to skip over the textbook fund. The textbook fund nowadays, whereas years ago they used to rent books and there was a lot of revenue coming in, a lot of expenses going out. Now the books are free, so the school board gets an allocation of funds for textbooks each year, and then there's some disbursements for if there's a new issue of books. So there's not really a whole lot to talk about on the textbook fund. So I'm going to start in section B on page B3, which is the statement of revenue and expenditures for the cafeteria fund. And we'll start about 4 lines down. You'll see the total revenue of just under $800,000, $792,339, which was an increase over the prior year of a little over $152,000. And then about halfway down, the excess of revenue over cost of food sold of $455,257. What we look at there is a percentage, and that as a percentage of the total revenue for this year was 57.46%, whereas the prior year was 53.8%. So that shows that a good job's being done in controlling cost of food as you go along. You see the operating expenditures totaling $396,000, and then the bottom line was an excess of revenue over expenditures this year of $58,570, which is a really good year for the cafeteria fund. Last year was actually a deficit, so a real nice turnaround in the cafeteria fund for the year ending June 30th of 2015. Page B6, we always talk about whether there are any findings or problems during the audit, and as you'll see on page B6, there were no findings or recommendations for the cafeteria fund for this year. The next section is section C, Franklin High School, and we'll start on page C4. The high school, as you might expect, being the biggest of the schools, has a number of funds, and you'll see on page C4 we break them down and have sub-schedules, like we have the administrative funds, the athletic funds, the club funds, other funds, and instructional funds, and there are separate schedules behind there that break down each one. But what I'll point out here, if you look at the total receipts for Franklin High School for the year of $260,012 versus total disbursements of $281,130, that is a deficit for the year of $21,118 in total. And it's a little better than last year, which was down a little over $32,000, but you see all the way to the right on the bottom, the fund balance is still a nice amount, $67,548. But I do want to note that 2 years ago, that fund balance was a little over $121,000. So tough couple of years for the high school the last couple of years, but still a fund balance of $67,548 as of the end of the year. And if we could turn to page C11, I'll just briefly go over the findings that we had. Number one was there were a couple instances where when we, as part of our audit, we make sure that there's documentation for all expenditures. There were a couple instances where there were not invoices for expenditures made, and that's something that needs to be corrected. There needs to be documentation for all expenditures. The next item regards gate receipts, and gate receipts for the athletic events. Some were going into the athletic general account, and some went into the refs and security account. And our suggestion would be to put them all in the same account, and if money is needed in another account, to make a transfer to to that other account as opposed to putting them in separate accounts. And then the last item was, often there are transfers among funds within the schools, and there's supposed to be a process where any transfers are approved by the principal. There were several instances where there was not written approval. Potentially, it could have been verbal approval, but we recommend that there's written approval for all transfers among funds. So, Section D is Joseph P. King Middle School, and we'll turn to page D4, which is your cash receipts and disbursements for the middle school. And as you see, the middle school started off the year with just under $5,100, and all the way over on the right end of the year with just under $5,100. The receipts and disbursements were actually a deficit of $1,500, $1,569. There were transfers in from the instructional funds of $1,562. So about a break even for the middle school, but they run on a tight budget. $5,000 is not a real big cushion to have. So anyway, that's something that you need to be aware of. On page D7, there were no findings or problems or recommendations for the middle school. So we didn't have any problems there with anything. And like I say, when I talk about problems, it's not necessarily something, as I told you at the very beginning, all the schools got a clean audit opinion. It's just when there are items that we think need to be cleaned up a little bit, we'll make comments and suggestions on that. Our last section is Section E, SP Morton, and we'll go to page E5. It really starts on E4, but E4 and E5 summarize all the receipts and disbursements for SP Morton for the year. But on E5, you will see at the very bottom the receipts for the year are $57,640 versus disbursements of $73,696, which is a deficit of $16,056. Last year there was also a deficit of a little over $7,400. So over the last 2 years, that fund balance has gone down from a little over $61,000 to, you see in the bottom right-hand corner, the total fund balance of $37,551. So once again, something to be aware of and to know that to be careful. I know all these schools are running on pretty tight budgets, so it's difficult. But page E7 are the findings that we had for SP Morton, and it mainly involves something that I talked about a little earlier in the high school regarding transfers. The first one is the NAB account. There were things that came out of the NAB account for end-of-year cookout, Christmas party, office supplies, and so forth. And our suggestion is that if profit from the NABs are going to be used for another fund, that they should be first transferred out of the NAB to the appropriate fund and dispersed out of that particular fund. And once again, the same thing on the second one. The picture fund paid some money for a deficit that was carried over in the yearbook fund, and that money really should have been transferred to the other fund before the disbursement was made. It all comes out in the wash, but it's cleaner to have it transferred to the other fund before the disbursement's actually made. But as I said, all the schools got what we call an unqualified opinion or a clean audit opinion, and everyone was very cooperative, and we had no problems that we encountered during the audit. And if there are any questions from the board, I would be happy to answer, if I can.
Any questions, board members?
And as always, I'm available throughout the year if there are any questions or problems. Dr. Bell knows where to find me.
It's a very thorough report. I'm thinking if they're like me, they probably want to go home and look at it. Look at it, before maybe we would have questions. But thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
P.
The MOU updates.
Madam Vice Chair, just give you a quick summary of what's occurred since the new year began, since the last school board meeting. I have been in the division on January 4th, 8th, 12th, and of course today. I've had a chance to visit Open Campus and Morton Elementary School. Made a couple of visits to Open Campus and talked to the staff there. And I've also been working with Open Campus because part of the MOU and part of the next steps that came from the former CAO were to really look at the effectiveness of that new program as you roll it out. The staff's been very cooperative. I was able to listen to their data report a couple of weeks ago, and we are continuing to look at ways to look at enrollment, look at the effectiveness of those programs, and I know that the school board is aware of the efforts to try to get the enrollment up, get as many kids to get diplomas or GEDs as possible. So we'll continue to work with the staff on that. At Morton, one of the primary issues is that school is in its last year with the SIG grant, and we're looking at interventions, specifically Tier 2, Tier 3 kids, and trying to move them so that they're going to be successful in the future. And had good dialogue with the principal today. Travis Phelps was kind enough to take me over there in the absence of Mr. Edwards, and we had a very good discussion about the interventions, and we're exchanging information. We'll continue to look at ways that they can move forward. There's no doubt that Catapult's working hard from them. You're going to be hearing the Catapult report, which I've read in just a short period of time, and our OP, Vicki Oakley, is also involved in that particular situation as well. I have been working also with the HR department, and Gail Wade has been extremely helpful with me, looking at the same kind of information that you all have been looking at, having highly qualified teachers and making sure that the teachers in the classroom have their endorsements. And so I know you'll be looking at that a little bit later as you address personnel situations, but Gail and I have had some frank discussions about that. Moving forward, she has an IPAL report that has to go out very soon that will talk about teachers, and that goes to the state. One of the things she and I are working on right now is what's the date for teacher of record? Because one of the things you all started the year with in school divisions, small school divisions, we struggle with this in New Kent, was finding teachers for every single subject matter, and sometimes we would have long-term subs. You all have had that issue as well. She's worked hard, your staff has worked hard to fill those, so where does that teacher of record come? And I'll find an answer and we'll share that, but the hard work that HR is doing to try to get highly qualified teachers in and making sure they have proper endorsements is something that is part of the MOU, and she's working hard on that, and I want to assist that as best I can. She also is doing work on making sure that observations are being done for teachers and that they're being done according to your policy. So teachers are being observed, they're getting feedback, and that administrative reviews will take place for your administrators. So we have some things set up so that we can monitor that. She's got a notebook, and she's working hard to make sure that your policies and the expectations that you all have, as well as the state, are being met with respect to that important initiative. Calvin Edwards is not here, has a raft of things he's doing, and reminds me of my role many years ago as assistant superintendent in a small school division where I had lots of things I had to do. Calvin and I are working on a number of things that Dr. Bell and the administrative team have as part of the MOU. Things like making sure that I'm seeing the Title I purchase orders, the SIG grant purchase orders, and making sure that those are being approved appropriately. One of the things we had in the past was a large amount of unexpended SIG grant from last year. We want to make sure that doesn't happen, that those funds are being used. They're being used effectively to improve student achievement. Kelvin's put together a plan for that. I'm looking at that. I'll give him suggestions as we move forward. We want to make sure every dime that's legitimately ours to spend is used for
the benefit of those kids to move them forward at the elementary school. The state has been involved in ARP. You heard me talk about that before. That is an interesting sounding word, but it's aligning the academic review expectations with professional expectations. And so there were, at the beginning of the year, workshops that I attended and members of your staff attended. We then did observations in class at the elementary, middle, and I think it was done maybe at the high school as well, but I know I was involved in middle and elementary. And that's now ended. But part of that effort was to go in, look at the classroom, make sure the lessons were aligned with the state expectations as far as the state curriculum framework is concerned, and that those lessons were being rolled out accordingly. Catapult's been helping with that in terms of helping teachers at the elementary school with their planning. Now that that's over, how is that work going to continue? And Kelvin has some plans, and he's worked hard, I think, with Dr. King and his staff, Dr. Bell and his staff, to have what they call power walkthroughs. I'm sure you've heard that effort, and it's been led by the superintendent, but that is taking staff members, leaders, going in and monitoring how instruction's doing for the good of the kids and providing timely feedback. And so that's one of the things that I'll be working with Mr. Edwards on as well. I think they've lined up a couple of ARP visits coming up, and I want to make sure that Vicki Oakley, who is the OP for the priority schools, is going to be down here. She's working with several divisions. I want her here when they go through at the elementary school, and right now I think we've been able to accomplish that situation. So that's going to be an important situation. That is not the only feedback teachers get. That's just a quick sampling from division personnel going in. Clearly, principals are going through and doing walkthroughs and observations, and that's part of what Gail Wade and I will be dealing with. You all, I think, before received the CAO report from Kathy David that lists next steps, and those next steps I'm trying to be as faithful as I can possibly be in working with Dr. Bell's team to monitor and see how we're going with that. And my report will be, because I have a report coming to you as well, and that hopefully will be winging its way to you after it's been reviewed by the state in the next week or two. Probably longer than I was supposed to be, but that's my report, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Geiger. And also to add to Dr. Geiger's report, as we do each board meeting with the 4 essential actions: curricular alignment, human resources, purpose and direction, as well as leadership and governance. Are there any questions on some of those additional topics? Dr. Geiger did a good job of covering almost all of it, but if there are some other things that we wanted to highlight as well. You see that Dr. Geiger is getting well involved with Franklin City Public Schools because he's talking longer.
I'll be quiet.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's always good to, for someone else to come in and then showcase what we're doing. It's always good for the public to hear from somebody else. So the public will not, think that we're fudging something. So that's that transparency piece.
I think the thing we're trying to do is look at areas that can be improved and make some suggestions, and their suggestions, and point those kinds of things out. And we're trying to be as much of a team as we can as we try to move forward. And the thing that I told you before is, while I know that we made great progress last year, we still have progress to go, and we're trying to be very honest about that. But as our hope is by teaming, we're going to be able to make the most of that. So staff has been very, very accommodating. We're rolling up the sleeves. We've got some work to do, and we're trying to move forward with that particular situation. But they've been I've certainly enjoyed being part of that group.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geiger, and I do appreciate, I'm sure the other board members do as well, the way the report is written, that we can actually see the essential actions for each area that you reported on tonight. Is very detailed. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
The Catapult dashboard updates.
Madam Chair, board members, the members from Catapult are here to present updates from SP Morton. Mrs. Gurley, Mrs. Jones.
Good evening.
As you're well aware, this is our last year at SB1, and it's our job to make sure that they have the sustainability we need. Therefore, the Catapult team, along with the reading specialist, math coach, and administration, we work together during our planning meetings to make sure that teachers are planning lessons that are aligned to the curriculum, that contain rigor, and also they are developing some summative, formative assessments. We talk about those at each one of our meetings. We need to be able to assess our students and know how they're growing as we go along. So we're working closely with not only the teachers, but we're working closely with those reading specialists, with the math coach, so that they'll be able to continue this as we move through the school year and as they move into the next school year. We also work with them on the pacing calendars. Each 9 weeks, we complete a pacing calendar that is a basic calendar that shows the teachers what you're teaching each day of the month. And also we're putting in things such as when are you given assessments, what type of assessments do you give, making sure that those assessments are also aligned to what the teachers are teaching. So when we talk about planning meetings, a lot go into those meetings. It's not just what are you teaching, it's how you're teaching it, how you're going to assess it, looking at your tiered students, how you're going to move the tiers. The other thing we're doing is that we're observing and supporting all of our 3, 4, and 5 classrooms and those teachers, but we're still keeping an eye on the K through 2 students, because those classes need to be strong to build for our 3, 4, 5. So we're still, working with those teachers. We do it during planning meetings, but we're also going into classrooms, observing some of those teachers who have some deficiencies, working with those teachers, working with the specialists and with the coach to make sure that they can also give support to those teachers in our absence. We institute our balanced literacy. We have our reading, our writing, and we have our word study. Our word study is new for our school this year. It is going very well. It is throughout the entire school. Our K through 2 students, that is where the bulk of our word study will take place in those lower grades when we talk about phonics and phonemic awareness. So we're monitoring the progress of that, making sure that all teachers are teaching that the word study piece and making sure that they're doing it correctly, so that our students will be able to learn those words, put them together to create sentences, and also to those early literacy skills. We've been working closely with our special education teachers on all of our grade levels, because all of our students need to be able to be successful. So whenever we have our planning meetings, our special educators are also in that meeting. Those special educators are also working closely with those classroom teachers and with the lesson plans in the classroom with small group instruction, working with students one-on-one to make sure those students get exactly what they need to be successful. Beyond that, we have been working closely and collaborating with specialists to observe special, in particular classes we have in grades 2 and 3 to give some additional support. We're supporting any areas of teachers who are showing weaknesses in any of our grades, K through 5, to make sure that they come up to a level that's needed for student success. And the specialists and the coach have worked along with us, going into those classrooms and working with the students, modeling for teachers when we are not there. We're still doing some modeling for specific skills. That's what we're looking at. It's down to the point that if there's a particular skill that a teacher has difficulty with, we are working with that teacher to model that skill one-on-one before they even go into the classroom to do it with the students, to make sure that that teacher knows exactly how to teach that lesson. We're also looking at whether or not, when we look at the data from our students, whether or not that skill is taught successfully to the students, or whether or not the method in which that skill was taught was not one that connected with the students. So we're looking at lots of data to help guide what we do with the teachers to produce successful students in the classroom. And lastly, those mapping calendars I spoke of today, we finished the mapping calendar for the 39 weeks. We are ready to roll as soon as we finish benchmarks for the beginning of the 39 weeks. So we are continuing this process. We also have completed our second school-wide writing, that's been completed for K2, and our 3-5, we took the second school-wide writing test next week, and at that time, when we come to the next board meeting, we'll have updates for you on the school-wide writing process and also on the PALS, because at this time, we'll be finishing out the PALS.
Thank you.
Any questions so far?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to come before you. We were playing with the teachers today, and then it hit me. We only have a few more times to come before you, and so it's kind of sad, you know. And the teachers are getting like, "What? You leaving?" So we just want you to know that it's a privilege to serve you, and so thank you for that. So just moving on. All math teachers received, I put in here that 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers all received mini lessons. In these mini lessons, they cover all standards because it's crunch time now. And I don't want to say crunch time, but it's about that time now, and we all know that. And so each lesson, they know how to align it to the VDOE curriculum, so they know what standard it goes with. It tells them what essential knowledge and skills the students should know once they're done with that mini lesson. It gives them several strategies, 5 to 7 strategies to teach that skill, and then it also gives them a small assessment, 5 to 10 questions with the answers. And so each 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade math teacher received that. But then I also sent the K2 teachers a 9-chapter packet of resources for mathematics. We try not to give the teachers too many resources because we don't want it to turn into a worksheet bonanza. That's not what we're here for. We're here to teach our children. We're here to give them good instruction. And so we focus, just like Deborah said, on how are you teaching our babies? How are they going to get and understand these essential knowledge and skills? And so that's our focus. So, okay. And then lastly, I conducted a vertical articulation meeting because a lot of times we are teaching subjects that coincide 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. For instance, we're all teaching time right now, and it's really exciting. And so elapsed time at that. So the 3rd grade teacher, she's explaining how she's teaching it to the 4th and 5th grade teachers through email. And they're all deciding on one anchor chart to use so that when you graduate from the 3rd grade to the 4th grade and the 4th grade to the 5th grade and you're learning elapsed time, there doesn't have to be this, wait, what are you saying? And, well, that's not how I learned it last year. Let's make this transition a little bit easier for our children. And so that was a great meeting that we had over email, and we all agreed over what we're going to do, and it is working out fabulously. So that's that. As we move into the assessments, how we know that they're learning, we supported teachers with making sure that they're doing their pre and post assessments for every standard. And so, for instance, if we're about to teach 3.2, we give them a small 5-question assessment just to see where they are, what knowledge do you have, and then at the end of our instruction, we give that same assessment to see, okay, how did you fare? And so we look for 4 out of 5 for mastery, and we make sure that we have our data talks with our students and set goals. Okay, that's okay, you got a 20% this time or 40% this time, and what goal do you want to reach? And they're using their student data tracking sheets, and so the students are owning their own data. And so we continue to check those assessments for the teachers to make sure that they are aligned and rigorous. We also made sure that we reviewed the second 9 weeks benchmarks before they were given. We also conducted 2 pacing checks with the teachers to make sure that everything that was on there that the students are testing on, that they were taught. Okay? And lastly, what do we do when we don't reach proficiency? Deborah and I both work with the reading specialist and math coach to, as she said, help them with the remediation plans to be able to support the teachers, and we make sure that we build their capacity to build the teachers' capacity for when we exit. And that is all we have this evening. Any questions?
No question, but I do have a comment. Go right ahead.
Since we have a new math coach at SB Morton, how do you bring that individual up to where we're at today?
Well, I have this USB card that I plug into. No, I'm just messing. That's what I told her. So she came in today, and it was, I met her in the office, and I grabbed her hand, and I said, come on, let's go. And so I hit the ground running with her. Yes, and so I have her cell phone, I have her email. I called her this evening when I was sitting in the car, communication is key. And so I've already started sending her the curriculum that we've written. You know, I'm downloading everything I have, and so it's extremely important to us to build the capacity of whomever is going to be here when we leave, so that it can keep going and even further.
Anyone else? My comment is just in everything that you said, it's excellent what you all are doing to support the teachers. But the most importantly to me is that student data tracking, that the students are now understanding their data.
That's right.
They can look at it and say, hey, I was here last time, this is where I want to be, fell short this time, got to make a couple more gains, need to study. I think that's wonderful.
That's right.
Wonderful.
And just one last note of the planning meetings, you know, Deborah and I were talking about it today. Planning doesn't stop on Tuesdays when we plan with them. Our teachers text us and call us and email us on Sunday nights, on Saturday mornings, and we answer. And so that is consistent, and we are, you know, very much invested. And so we're here, and it's going to work, and we're going to be great. We're going to win.
Okay. We thank you for the motivation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Okay, so move on to the next one. All right, Dr. Bell, professional development.
Madam Chair, board members, the professional development law has been presented for your review. Are there any questions of the team or myself at this time with our December law?
I saw it at the last meeting. Yeah, there's the ARP.
And I wanted to point out to the board the question that arose in our joint meeting about the arts. I think you see our heavy involvement in the arts with Lakeland and Rawls, Walter Cecil Rawls.
I do have a question, and maybe you said this before, but the professional development, AARPE, could you, what is that?
That's the ARP.
One of the things,
Okay.
it's an acronym for Aligning Academic Review.
That's exactly what
with
I wanted to know, what it stands for.
Aligning academic review with professional expectations, and it's taking the academic reviews that the state does through for school divisions, and I know you all have gone through them before, and I've done those as well in some other divisions, where you look for different things in terms of the instructional program. One of the major findings throughout the state has been teachers teaching lessons that weren't aligned to the state curriculum. As an old history teacher going back to the days before the SOLs, I didn't always teach probably what you might have expected me. I was very good in certain areas, and I would have spent a lot of time on World War II, maybe to the detriment of covering some things that kids would need to know about the Vietnam War, about Korea, about modern current events. And that would have been something I needed to work with. Now that you've got the SOLs, you've got to make sure your instruction lines up with those SOLs. And so our teachers looking at the state curriculum to take a look at the objective to make sure what students need to know, and is that lesson then developed along those lines. It's what Catapult's been doing with the elementary school folks. State has had training after training on it. And then part of what we do through that academic review process, rather through the ARP actual observations, is because if you and I both go into Will's classroom, we might see different things, and that in and of itself is not a bad thing. What we need to do is be able to really get stronger at looking for what we need to be looking for based on what the state expectations are. And so this has been a training session so that principals, members of the central office staff, Vicki Oakley, who is your who works with your priority schools, I will go in, and then at the training session we debrief. What did you see? What are trends? What are things that could be done to help us? Possibly some professional development needs to be delivered based on what we saw today in certain classrooms. It is not an evaluation piece. That's done by your people. But it's us developing our skills so when we go into classrooms, we know what we're looking for and we can share that. And then here's the key. We can then give feedback promptly to the staff so that if we go into Will's classroom, he needs to know what did we what are some of the positive, what are some things that might make things stronger. And so it's our way of trying to improve our observation skills and sharing information with teachers that's going to help instruction. That's the whole purpose of it. And that's probably more than AAREP, but it's important and it can be a good tool for us to use. And you all have that embedded in your professional development here.
And so what is the PE?
Well, the professional expectations are
Professional expectations.
That's
That's
those
what I want.
standards that
Thank
the
you.
state expects teachers to be evaluated on. And remember, there was a major change in that several years ago. So there's seven standards. This aligns to what a teacher is expected to do in order to do a good job instructing children. So that's,
Thank you.
that hopefully gives you
Yes.
a nutshell on what that's about.
Yes, thank you so much. Dr. Bell, 4.4, Principal's Monthly Report.
Yes, Madam Chair, board members, the principal's monthly report has been presented for your review of each school. Any questions or concerns for the team at this time?
Board members?
Okay.
Okay, 4.5, Monthly Financial Report.
Madam Chair, board members, I will be reviewing the monthly financial report in the absence of Mrs. Jarrell. Mrs. Jarrell is ill, working with a tooth that hit her on Tuesday, that she's in deep pain. However, the monthly financial report has been presented for your review. You see that we always keep track. If you look at your second page, where we look at that percent used, and we discussed that when we were in the budget one-on-one session, and we keep our eyes on that number, that percentage. And what we've calculated as of the 19th of January, we should be very good at the end of the year. We are looking at probably using 88% of the budget. So 12%, we are calculating somewhere between 10 to 12% that will be left over. And then as a board, we have a priority list that we are creating, that some things that we may want to take a look at in terms of enhancing our technology and our instruction, as well as anything with the capital projects within the schools. We will be working with the principals and the central services team as we continue to put together this list of expenditures that we will come before you and let you know that we've identified. But we are not looking at anything until after the March 31st head count. Right now, we are up 12 kids. We have 1074 on the books. Our ADM was 1062, so we're looking pretty good.
This time of the year, Dr. Bell, it's unlikely kids would move in the middle of the year like that.
About this time where we are now, it's unlikely, but we still gonna keep our fingers crossed. March 31st, that we still will be above. But right now, we're looking pretty good financially. In the budget one-on-one session, the board had a question about what we had the approval line item for instruction and technology. Mrs. Jarrell has found that money, and I think Mr. Holt, you asked that question. In that technology line item, that was in money, it's about $73,000 that caused the increase because of VPSA, that security money that we received. And then in the instruction line item, we had the Franklin Southampton Charities monies that we received. And then there are some other things that she's looking at that's added into this, the Pepsi Fund and some other things that we have to put in this revenue. Tonight we talked about the Opportunity Inc. money. and some other things. So those appropriations, some of those appropriations you'll see tonight, but she's adding on, making sure that we are straight with that. Now, by the time we do the budget, that's still on that second page. And that question, Mr. Holt asked when we were in the work session with the instruction, 61,000, that line item, the 61 line item and the 68 line item was different from what the board, your approved budget, and why the increases occurred. So that was what I was referring to. So some of those appropriations you'll see tonight, and then in the budget work session, if there are any additions, we will continue to bring those in so you will know how much those were. So right now, we're getting all that straight.
You're reading my mind, Dr. Bill. And it's scary.
Maybe that's a good thing.
But, thank you, that clears it up. But I'd like for her to go back and amend the budget so that will match the appropriations.
Exactly, that's right. And we'll take care of that. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for the monthly financial report. Do we have any unfinished business?
No unfinished business tonight, Madam Chair.
Okay. If not, we'll move to 6.1, Charter School Constitutional Amendment Resolution.
Madam Chair, board members, you have the Charter School Constitutional Amendment Resolution for your review. This resolution generated from the General Assembly and the vast conference, winter conference, as well as from VSBA, wanting board members to, school boards to take a look at not going with the charter school movement push. And you see in the resolution, it says that the General Assembly will be considering a resolution seeking a constitutional amendment to divest local school boards of the sole authority to approve charter schools, vesting authority with a gubernatorial appointed board. At this time, school boards can control, if there is a charter school movement in this area, they will have to report to the local school board. What this, in the General Assembly, there is legislation that will be on the floor that the local school boards will have no authority in approving a charter school moving into the area, which would in essence take our kids from our division. You see the second line, it says local school boards which are elected or appointed by their community and entrusted with the authority to supervise schools are best equipped to assess the needs of their students and the locality. This is all part of the VSBA resolution that they have forwarded to a lot of school divisions already, and a lot have approved it. The third sentence, local school boards are responsible for the outcomes of all schools within the school system, including charter schools. That's what the push on the floor is, that charter schools will not be included, once again, under the auspices of the local school board. Research has shown that charter school outcomes are mixed, with the majority doing no better than the traditional public schools that feed them. That is correct. We did research on this when I was receiving my dissertation, because we label it a social injustice. Because what charter schools, a lot of charter schools have been doing is recruiting and pulling our best students. And in that pulling, or some of those mixed research numbers, charter schools have been doing no better academically than public schools. Then the state-authorized charter schools will result in a massive unfunded mandate to local school divisions, because the dollars that we have will then go to the charter school, costing millions of dollars to local taxpayers. Now, therefore, upon your approval, be it resolved, the Franklin City Public Schools hereby opposes the resolution seeking a constitutional amendment to divest local school boards from the sole authority to approve charter schools. So wanted to bring that resolution to your attention. This is not a resolution that I created. This is directly from the Virginia School Board Association and the Virginia Association of School Superintendents.
Dr. Bell, number 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's look at that one again. Explain that again.
Whereas local school boards are responsible
Right there.
for the outcomes of all schools within the school system, including charter schools.
Okay, right there.
Right.
Okay.
So that means if there is a charter school in the division, at this particular time, we don't have any charter schools. But if there is a charter school in this division, the local school board will still control the outcome. We still have a say in the matter. If it passes, we will not have a say in the matter.
If the legislation, General Assembly is trying to put forward.
Correct, correct. That's what we just talked about, like Magic Johnson, Bridgescape, and Opportunity Inc. We have a say in the matter. The local school board would not have a say.
I think what I want to make sure that's clear here, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that the charter school would not be a part of the school system, but the school system would be responsible for, the division would be responsible for the outcomes of the schools within the school system, including the outcomes of those charter schools.
That is correct.
Okay. I want to make sure I was understanding.
And dollars and cents will be forwarded to the charter school.
Right. Anyone else have any questions?
Along the same lines, I read today that a bill was introduced in the General Assembly to give parents a voucher equivalent to 90% of what the school division gets per student, so they could go wherever they want.
That's correct.
I believe that falls under parent choice.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that'll pass, but that would be a scary thing for the public school system.
That is correct.
Every public school system.
90%?
Yes, it could be very scary.
Yeah.
Madam, you
Yes.
asked that question?
Yes. The question, so that the public hears me.
Okay.
My question was to Dr. Bell, in reference to Mr. Holt speaking of the vouchers. My question was, is that being done already in some states?
No.
Okay, that was my question.
What you may see, let's say, in a division the size of Chesterfield, a parent, if you have 20 middle schools, a parent can have the choice of not attending Mrs. Francis' school, but may want to attend Mr. Chandler's middle school with open choice. But the money still stays in the division. If they transfer, like, we have children that transfer, the monies cannot leave the division and you take all the 90% with you. Once you transfer to another division, then you fall under that division's money scheme. You don't get to take all that money with you. And that is scary because that can deplete a budget.
Any other questions, comments?
So, Dr. Bell, what would you have us to do at this time concerning this resolution?
Tonight, you can look at it if you would like for the first reading, or you can pass the first reading and say this is the final reading and pass the resolution for me to forward this to the Virginia School Board Association, that Franklin City Public Schools Board approves this resolution and is in support with the other boards in the state. So it just would need to be a motion if you wanted to move forward with that tonight.
Okay, would we like to entertain a
Madam
motion?
Vice Chair?
Yes.
I make a motion to recommend adoption of this resolution and also send the resolution to city council for have them adopt the same one. Because they're the ones that give us the money. Yeah.
I second that.
Okay. It's been properly moved and second that we approve the Charter School Constitutional Amendment Resolution, and also to send this to our Franklin City Council members to also adopt the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Done.
Okay, Dr. Bell. 6.2, SP Morton Project.
Madam Chair and board members, at this time, I have Mr. Custer that is going to come forward and walk the board through the first phase that I hope everyone received my scanned email, but I also have it for your purview in the board docs. And then Mr. Custer will talk about where we are in phase 2 and then what we look forward to going down the road. Do understand, board, you are definitely involved in all this because we know what this involves. We know exactly what this involves. And we're going to make sure that the best decision and the best product is laid forward for our students. Mr. Custer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As Dr. Bell said, he asked me to give you a small, short presentation on phase 1 of our SP Morton Elementary School building addition, which will replace our modular units, which are in need of replacing. If you turn to the second page there, you'll see a breakdown of what the estimated additional cost. The cost will be for we're going to be putting up a metal building, and I'll touch on that a little later in the presentation. And it goes through, this is the breakdown of our phase 1. Now, we've had some additions to this, and I will bring that up after we go through what we have here. The building and assembly is $1.73 million, plumbing, $55,000, electrical, $75,000, HVAC, $150,000, security, $50,000, engineering, $50,000, and framing, drywall, flooring, paint, and doors, $1.4, site work, $50,000. That comes to a grand total of $3,560,000. And that's just, these numbers were all, at the time, were all high. We made sure we had the higher numbers in it now, but we have some additions to this. But on the next page, you'll see we have some of the benefits of using a metal building. That's what we're going to go for. We're shooting for this metal building because it's the best product out there right now. If you drive around, you'll see some of these churches. A lot of the other schools are using the metal buildings just for these reasons that are broke down here in our this proposal. You know, the design is quick and efficient because you cut down on your architect fees and your engineering fees because it's already pre-designed and engineered before we get it. We still have to have an architect and engineer involved in it for our hookups and everything, but not nearly to the extent you would if you were building a brand new building from the ground up. The foundation, there's simple design. It's lightweight and easy. It's construction. It's concrete. It's a slab. Everything's on a slab. So you don't have a dead air space in between, a crawl space, in other words, so that things can't get underneath it, which is a whole lot better design. The erections, it's fast, easy, step by step. It's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. It's pieces, all prefab when they arrive. If you have any additional changes, they're flexible. You know, the siding and everything matches. Everything's all made to fit. It has future expansion. It's simple. I think you all have this on the, okay. And additions are easy. If you want to put on additions, it's not like you have to do if you were building a regular building. Performance is, the components are specially designed to work together as a team. They're highly durable, lower chance of, and this is the big one for me, is the insects and mold and fungus. As you know, mold and fungus right now are one of the biggest things in classrooms now, and modulars aren't good at keeping that out. The responsibility comes from a single source manufacturer, which results in a responsibility of one supplier and one contractor, which isn't one. So that makes it a whole lot easier to deal with if you're dealing with one supplier or one contract. A metal building, they won't bend, crack, split, twist easily over time. They're eco-friendly. They use, all green products in the buildings of these new buildings. The materials, and it's non-combustible. That's a big one too. Weatherproof, wind resistant, and safe in lightning, because that's a big question. A lot of people, you put a metal building up, they're worried about lightning, and they're safe, they're grounded, everything's good on those. And on the next page, you'll see.
Mr.
Go ahead.
What do you think the lifespan of that building would be? 50 years?
Yeah, they are 50-year products is what they're made for, so which is better than most regular buildings. And the upkeep on them is just so much, the cost effective of it, so much less. And on the next page, you'll just see there's just some examples of the buildings, the types of buildings you can get. Now, we haven't made made our mind, any decisions on what exactly we're going to have. They can have different fronts. It's really up to us to decide how to create it the way we want it, to design it what we want. And you can see we still haven't finalized where it's going to go. We have an engineer working on that right now, so that going to give us a couple options, and hopefully when we come to the next boarding meeting, we'll have the next step, some drawings, some other things that you can see and actually help us make the decision we're going to make.
How long will it take to put this up?
Well, it's probably going to 6 to 8 months. In other words, we would really like to put it back where the modular units are right now. Would be the ideal place.
Right.
But it takes too long, and can't get it done in the summertime, so it would affect the classroom instruction. So we'd have to put it somewhere else, and then we'll have to remove the modular units. We can't do it in the summertime. That was our first question. We were hoping we could get it done, and now we can just transition right into the new building and get rid of the other one. But we can't. It takes too long, too much time. 6 to 8 months is what they say to erect the building.
Mr. Custer, does this weatherproof means that it's rust-proof as well?
I didn't catch the last.
Does the weatherproof means that it's rust-proof?
Yes, all year, it's rust resistant. In other words, they have a coating on them. It's like a vinyl coating on the outside, and they use aluminum with a vinyl coating on it. So it'll last a lot longer than most products, wood products, for example, yes. So it's very rust resistant. Nothing's rust proof. Water finds its way into everything. And then on the last page there, you have just a breakdown of what the classrooms, and then, like I said, this is just preliminary stages of phase one of what we have, what we would have if we did it the way we originally started talking about it. And since this isn't, we've decided to add a few things to it. We're going to have a cafeteria, a gymatorium, and a library added into this drawing. So like I said, when I come the next time, hopefully we'll have some engineering drawings and things that you can look at and see how the floor plan will lay out on that. And of course, you're going to double the square footage, so the price is going to go up too. So
Do you think we have enough restrooms in here?
How many restrooms is there?
I mean, you got 2 girls, 2 boys, and 1 faculty.
Like I said, we're in the preliminary stages right here. We can add as we go.
Yeah.
But that's what we have in the modulars right now. Well, we have 4 bathrooms in each one of the modulars. Yes, we have more bathrooms in there.
Yes. I see you got 26 classrooms. How many classrooms are in the modulars?
It's about that number there.
30.
Right,
We got 30 classrooms?
Right. 30.
I didn't realize it was that. 28.
World's largest modulars.
World's largest. And as they...
I didn't we had that many classes.
The world's largest. And like...
I didn't know we had that many.
Right. And you remember that was the question that we had talked about before, because we have to look at the technology, the labs, things of that nature, that, once we continue to talk, we want to do it right the first time.
Right.
Exactly.
So we want to have room to grow.
Right.
So we may want to say 32 rooms.
Right.
But that's with a discussion of the board members and all of us together. And then what we're going to do, well, I'm not going to steal your thunder. Go ahead, Mr. Costa.
It's a lot more cost effective to change it, the blueprints and your plans in a metal building, because then you don't have to go back to the architect. They can just add on, and it's already pre-designed. And like I said, this is phase one. I don't know how many phases we're going to get before they're setting out. They're at SP Morton, but hopefully it won't be too many. And we'll be back as we go down this road here to figure out what we want.
What we are doing, we are partnering with Chesterfield County Public Schools, Dr. Newsom and his construction department. Dr. Newsom has built probably 30-some buildings in his 9 years in Chesterfield. So I guess all of the superintendents in the state consider him the guru, because when you build 30 buildings or more, you know exactly what you need, what to skip around, what to add, what pitfalls that you're going to run into, things you may want to consider. So we have a meeting with his team on March the 4th, where we're traveling to Chesterfield to have a discussion, and we're going to share our phase 1/phase 2 if we have it by then, and see where we need to go.
I'm looking forward to that. especially the maintenance guy there. The facilities director. You know, this is all new for us, and 30 of them, he's an old hat at that. So there's a lot I can learn from him.
As far as you know, we have no asbestos in our current modules, correct?
That's correct. They were built in 2002, so it was way past the asbestos we lot out there. And they were placed on the first 26 units were 2003, and the other 4 were added in 2006. So basically, they've been sitting there 13 years, and it was a 5-year short-term thing. And it's costing us money to have them sit there, so it's hard to keep them up. Any other questions?
Meeting on the 4th, would that be something a board member could go to if they were interested in hearing?
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. Just let us know whoever wants to attend. So, because we will be meeting Dr. Newsom and his team in Chesterfield at the Technical Center.
And
Any other questions?
what's the date again?
March 4th. March 4th. They confirmed that, Pam? Okay. Tentative March 4th right now. Okay?
Dr. Bill, could we ask that my clerk send us an email?
Yes.
After they've confirmed the date?
That's-
Okay.
yeah, no problem. No problem.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Costa.
6.3, fiscal year 2016 authorization to request appropriation.
Madam Chair and board members, the appropriations are before you, and I believe you would want to take them individually to make a motion to approve them. The first one, I believe in your packet, is the American Fidelity donation of $500.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request to increase the budget by $500 for the American Fidelity Donation Award.
Can we get this? It's been properly moved in second to approve the request to increase the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget by $500 per the American Fidelity Donation Award letter in the amount of $500. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
And I bring to attention that that $500 donation from American Fidelity was towards our employee holiday celebration. So funds really didn't come out of our pocket. Bless you. The second appropriation is from Ms. Kay Weaver of Horace Mann in the amount of $25, and that was also a donation to our holiday celebration.
Can we get a motion?
Second?
It's been properly moved and second to approve the request to increase the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget by $25 per the Elizabeth K. Weaver Donation Award letter in the amount of $25. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
The next appropriation is the $63,000 from the Opportunity Inc. grant program. Also, board members, you have the contract that is involved with that through Opportunity Inc. and Sean Avery, the executive director, in the amount of $63,000.
Can we get a motion?
I make a motion that we approve.
Second?
It's been properly moved and second to approve the request to increase the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget by $63,000 per the Opportunity Inc. grant notification in the amount of $63,000. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Next appropriation is the Franklin Southampton Charities Robotics Program in the amount of $17,050.
So move.
A second.
It's been properly moved and second to approve the request to increase the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget by $17,050 per the Franklin Southampton Charities grant notification in the amount of $17,050. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
And the last appropriation is the 2015 School Security Equipment Grant in amount of $73,415.
Get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second to approve the request to increase the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget by $73,415 per the school security equipment grant notification in the amount of $73,415. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, board members, that concludes the appropriations for tonight. Those additional appropriations that I mentioned during the monthly financial report, we will bring those to the next meeting along with the amendment to the budget.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. At this time, we'll have business by school board members. Important dates to remember. February 2016 is School Board Appreciation Month. February 9th, call school board meeting, budget work session. February 10th through the 11th, Capitol Conference, Richmond Marriott. March 16th, 2016, Hot Topics Conference in Whiteville Convention Center. I believe we also have another one. Some of us are attending the Superintendent's Evaluation Training. That's February 22nd, I believe.
Yes.
February 22nd.
And just to remind the board, we have a work session Tuesday for the budget, 26th.
Okay? That's February 26th,
January 26th.
January
This coming
26th,
Tuesday.
and February 22nd.
Second for the evaluation.
Okay, so January 26th will be the work session.
Yes, ma'am.
And February 22nd, superintendent's evaluation.
Correct.
Is that correct?
In Charlottesville.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion from the board?
I know last year we had made some, why it's just popped into my brain, but last year we had made some changes to the gifted program. Is there any way we could get an update on how that's going and what they're doing at each school? When, how, why, what, is the high school even being served yet this year?
They are.
They are.
We'll get that for the next meeting, and we ask Mrs. Beamer to present on the superintendent's report.
Dr. Bell, we are leaving from here on the 21st for Charlottesville.
At 3:30, I believe, correct?
3:30.
3:30?
It got up here at 3 o'clock.
All right, 3 o'clock.
From here?
From here.
Was it 3 o'clock, Dr. Bell?
3 o'clock. Always, whatever time that you all want.
I got
You want
3
three?
o'clock.
You got 3? Okay. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Bell, Franklin City Public Schools industry certifications.
Yes, ma'am. We discussed this during a joint council meeting. The question arose if we have any technical certifications. And I will forward this to Mr. Martin and City Council, or email it so they would know where we are in terms on the technical side of the house. The academic side always is mentioned, but I wanted to present it to the board first to see the actual industry certifications that are available at Franklin High School and that our kids can attain through these classes. At the bottom, culinary arts is one that we want to look at bringing back for next year, and we will discuss that further in the budget work session. However, the majority of these classes already our kids are involved in, and they are afforded the opportunity to receive these certifications. So just wanted to bring this to the attention of the board.
Thank you.
Any comments, discussion? Thank you. Any final comments before we adjourn?
Sir.
Are we going to school as tomorrow?
No, sir.
School's already,
No, sir. I've already pulled the trip.
that's good.
Yes, sir.
I just hadn't heard.
Yes, sir. I pulled the trigger.
I'd like to thank everyone tonight for your participation, our staff that always are here so diligently. I see you, Ms. Francis, in the corner. It's okay, it's all good. We're all trying to go where you're trying to go. At this time, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
It's been properly moved in second that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Have a safe drive home. Appreciate it. I will. Thank you very much.
Be careful.